get the right kind of education, then you can become one of them. They didn't even realize that. They thought they were just specially blessed. And Jesus comes along and he says, hold on, wait a minute. No. Rain is going to fall on everybody. The sun is going to shine on everybody. And if you were going to be a child of God, then you're going to reflect that kind of grace. In other words, if God gives grace, you and I are supposed to be giving grace. We're supposed to be treating people like we want to be treated without regard to how they're treating us. This flies in the face of the cultural standards that have been set before us. Now, I don't know about you, but my daddy told me if somebody said something to me, he's going to punch them out. That's what he told me. And then he told me, if I hear about you getting punked, I'm going to whoop you and send you back out there. That was the standard in the Harris household. That was the standard. So even when I did get punked, which happened about once, I think I was 4 and the boy must have been 30. I didn't tell you. I came in living a lie. Because he asked me, anybody mess with you this week? No, sir. They know better. My man. Living a lie. A lot of us in our Christianity, we start living a lie. Because we don't understand the standard that God is setting before us. He's asking us to live up to something. Some people come to the church and start living down. He says, live up. So he says, this is why the cultural standards are inadequate. We get to verses 46 and 47. He lets us know the reason they're inadequate is because they're too easy. See, whenever you start to set a standard for yourself, you don't set it so that you can what? Achieve it. I was talking about Ms. Burns earlier. Remember when I said she was in poverty growing up, but her mother set the standard for her. See, you need somebody else to set the standard for you. You need somebody that sees what you can't see to set the standard for you. Now, this is why you can't see what they can, because they're probably a little bit higher than you are. You can't see as far as they can. Her mother had lived her life and had looked at her life and said, there can be a better life for my daughter. What's wrong is I don't want her to live up to the standards that were set for me. I want to set higher standards for her. And then when she got there, she had a mentor who came along and raised the bar even higher. Isn't it funny that when you raise that bar up, we'll try to get to it? We get like high jumpers. Once they jump something, I used to high jump in high school. Once you jump a certain height, the very next thing you do, you raise that bar. You're going to keep trying to get higher. You will keep reaching higher. But if the bar is set low, and believe you me, if I went to the track meet and they said, all right, you set the bar wherever you want to and you win, I'd have skipped over. I'd have made it easy on myself. I'm still going to get the ribbon. I'm not going to strive to get higher and possibly fail. Why? Human nature says, I'll take the easy path and the easy road. So when you look in these verses, in verses 46 and 47, look what he says. He says, for if you love those who love you, what reward have you? Please catch that second part. What reward do you have? What do you say to God when you go before God and you tell him, I love everybody that loved me. I loved everybody that treated me right. Think about who you're going to be talking to. Jesus is going to say to you, that's funny. I told you to be like me. Now let me see, what did I do? I came when nobody wanted me, when nobody loved me. Matter of fact, when I showed up, they hated me. They spit on me. They beat me to within an inch of my life, made me carry a cross, got down there, and then they just nailed me to it, pierced me in my side, let the blood flow, and watched me die and bury me. Does that sound like love to you? But guess what? I knew it was going to happen before it happened. I knew when I came into the world, this is what I was here for. want me. Now, you're going to sit here and tell me that you think you should be rewarded for loving people that loved you? That's too easy. It's too easy. And we want our Christianity to be easy. We want to come in and, get a little bit of a sermon. Hopefully, pastor, tickles your fancy a little bit. You can walk out kind of feeling good. We want to hear some great music. And then we want to walk away and say, I went to church. That's it. Jesus says, no, it can't be that easy. That's too easy. That's not the standard that he has set. That is the standard that has been set by us. It's just natural for us to try to make it easy on ourselves. So he says in verse 46, for if you love those who love you, what reward have you? Do not even the tax collectors do the same. Now, by calling on the tax collectors, let me tell you what he did. The Jews of that day, let me tell you, they could stomach the prostitute. They could stomach the thief, even the murderer, but that doggone tax collector. See, it wasn't paying taxes that bothered them so much. Jews always paid taxes in the form of tithing. They knew what a tax was. That wasn't the issue. The issue was the Roman government had taken over them. Not only were they still tithing to the temple, but they had another issue. The Roman government said, since we're over you, we want your money too. Instead of sending a Roman to come get the money, they found some no good, low down, dirty dudes to get the money. If that wasn't bad enough, that they turned against their own. These same dudes, when they came to get the money, the Roman government said, get X amount. But when they came to the people, they said, I need this amount. This amount was always more than what the Roman government said. In other words, they were stealing. And everybody knew it. And they couldn't complain to nobody because Rome didn't care. Because Rome said, just give me my money. I don't care what they told you to give. See, the tax collector could call on the Roman soldiers to come in and take everything they wanted. So if you were a Jewish person, if there was one somebody in the society that you couldn't stand, it was that doggone tax collector. Hated. And Jesus says, now if you come run and talk about, I'm loving everybody that loves me, I'm showing to respect to those who earn it, he says, you ain't no better than tax collectors. That's what they do. That's what they do. By the way, if you have something that somebody else wants, guess what they're going to do? They're going to act like they like you. Did y'all catch what I just said? If you have something somebody else wants, they're going to act like they like you. The tax collectors had what they thought were many friends. Because many people were like, I don't want you taking what I got. Well, how can I get into the hoops with you? How can I work this out? See, the tax collectors, when they threw a party, everybody came. It was the drugs of society. It was the low-down, dirty people, but they showed up. They had plenty of friends. And they showed love to who? Them. And that's what they say. Better than tax collectors if you do that. So in verse 47 he says, and if you greet your brethren only, what do you do more than others? You only greet the people that like you. If you only greet the people that think like you think, just like everybody else, even the tax collectors do that. If you look at our world today, that's what our world is. We are just divided in every way, shape, and form that we can divide ourselves. One of the most divided places in the world happens every Sunday morning. Church. Church is so divided, we don't even know what to call it. Well, I go to the white church. I go to the black church. I go to the Asian church. I go to the Hispanic church. Told y'all this before. It's just a church. It's just a church. Church is a noun. When you put one of those descriptive words in front of it, that's an adjective. An adjective changes the name. Jesus said he was going to build his church. He never said he was going to build a black one. He never said he was going to build a white one, an Asian one. He never said that. But look at what we've done. The reason is because we make up the church. And until we start loving everybody, it's always going to be this way. Even within the church, we got to get better. This is the only way. So, in verse 48, here's the standard. Therefore is there because of everything that came before. Therefore, because we've been lifted to the wrong standard, and I would venture to say that if Jesus were standing there right now, he might pat me on the back and say, step aside, I got it from here. You've done good to this point, but I need to emphasize this myself. So I don't want you to hear my voice. I want you to look at, if you got one of these Bibles that got everything in red that Jesus said, I want you to understand this is Jesus speaking. It's not your pastor. This is Jesus. He says, therefore, you shall. Did y'all catch this? You shall. This is not an option, folks. This is a command directly from the commander in chief, Jesus Christ himself. You shall be perfect. At this point, somebody in here is probably going, perfect? We can't do perfect. Perfect? Yes, perfect. Not, you might be. Not, it's possible. Not, you're capable. You shall be perfect. Period. Now, how many of y'all know if Jesus said something is so? All right? This is what your faith should tell you. Eventually, I'm going to be perfect. Maybe not here, but eventually, I'm going to be perfect. I'm going to get there. Maybe not here, but I'm going to get there. He says, you shall be perfect. And then he says, here's your standard. Just as your Father in heaven is perfect. And he just showed us how he's perfect. It is wrapped up in loving your enemies, in loving everybody, and giving to everybody equally. This does not take away from the love that he has for those of us that are redeemed. What do we have that the unsaved people don't have? Eternal life. The gift of the Holy Spirit. A church family. We enjoy benefits that cannot be explained to an unsaved person. They got to get saved in order to understand and feel those benefits. But we all are under the grace of God. And he said to us, you've got to be perfect like that. You have got to show the person out there that is not going to church just as much love as you show the people that are going to church. Now, this will mess with you. We show some people outside more love than we do people that are in. We need to flip that around sometime. Some of us come to church just to see who we can fuss at, who we can talk about, find out what's wrong with who, with so-and-so, what they wore, what they were looking like. Love, agapao love says you overcome your own will. You overcome everything in you that goes contrary to God when it comes to love. Overcome that. Love is not an emotion.